Coming in at number 10, we have Nessus the River Guardian's penis in Hercules. I get a cartoon bump on the head, but this is a bit much. In one scene of Disney's Hercules, he gets into a scrap with the River Guardian Nessus. Hercules punches Nessus in the air, and when he lands, he's hit in the head with his horseshoes. This gives him a huge bump. However, this huge bump ends up looking like a huge erect penis with a very, very visible ballsack to boot. As a kid, I didn't see this at all, but as an adult, I'm like, hello there, sir, what is on your head?
Number 9. Bill Clinton. We've all heard that clip downloading music growing up. You know, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Like, bro, I'm trying to listen to Christmas music. What is this? Whose voice is this? What did I download? Why is this computer not working anymore? I'm so grounded. Back in 2006, former US President Bill Clinton showed off this beautiful portrait of himself done by the incredible artist John Nelson Shanks. As far as portraits go, this is beautiful, the art is beautiful and all that, but that pose, I mean, I don't know, something's off about it. His stance is like, let me redo it. Like, he just looks uncomfortable, you know? He doesn't look ready yet. Well, that's because the shadow on the left side of the portrait, it's meant to represent Monica Lewinsky. I'm not even lying to you. I knew it. I felt like there was some darkness in here. I'm like, oh, something's off here. There's some shady history around. Pun intended. The artist himself admitted that this was indeed the case. He used the dress shape as symbolism to the scandal while he was creating the artwork. I thought the dark background here was Bill's pants, but well, I was wrong. That's why we're here. We like to educate. Number 8. The Madonna with Saint Giovannino. For this next one, we'll be taking a look at a painting from the 15th century by artist Domenico Ghirlandaio. This painting is currently in the Hall of Hercules in Palazzo Vecchio in Florence. Also, if I'm saying any of these names wrong, you can tell me. It's probably gonna be a lot of them. I'm trying. The painting shows the Virgin Mary, infant Jesus, of course, with a six-pack for some reason. And over her right shoulder, we can see this object floating in the sky. Let's take a closer look at that, shall we? What is that? Is that a drone? A magnetic balloon? A weather balloon? Those weren't around then. What's even more interesting is that a man is looking up at the sky at this object. He's even covering his eyes, shielding the sun to try and get a better look. Man's going blind to try and see what's hovering above him. It's always a good sign as well when your dog is barking at something next to you in the sky. Art historians believe that the object is an angel resembling a cloud, while others believe that it's a clear sign of alien visitors. I'm others. I'm like, oh, E.T., the whole thing, this is starting to make more sense now. What do you guys think? Was this the 15th century version of drawing the sun at the top corner of your painting? Or did this mystery artist just document UFO footage with his own brush? Number 7. Cafe Terrace at Night. Upon first glance, you can tell this is a piece done by the fabulous Vincent van Gogh. The blue tones, the streaks. I did the Van Gogh experience downtown Toronto and it was mesmerizing, honestly. The floor is moving, I was like falling into the walls and everything, it was great. While his 1888 oil painting, Cafe Terrace at Night, looks like a quiet late night summer dream, it's actually pretty dark when you start looking closely. I'm not a Van Gogh expert by any means, but Jared Baxter, he is. Back in 2015, Jared brought forth this idea that Cafe Terrace at Night was really Van Gogh's version of The Last Supper. This figure in the center with long hair and 12 surrounding individuals, one of which is slipping into darkness. It checks out. He also says there are hidden crucifixes in this painting. I knew there was something spiritual about that Van Gogh exhibit. I knew it all around me. I'm like, is that a floating crucifix? Where'd it go? It's gone. Number 6, Medusa. Another one of the most recent paintings on today's list is Medusa by Caravaggio. It was done back in 1597. Crazy that that's a recent painting. That's so long ago in my head. And this photo, I'll admit right off the bat, is a little bit haunting. It's a little gory, it's a little graphic. But where does this idea come from? What compels a person to spend this long on a scary painting? The entire time I'd be like, We all know the story of Medusa, the woman with, snakes for hair. When you look at them, you turn to stone and then you're stuck forever and it's horrible. Well, this is a painting that really captures her essence, her beauty, really just, her complexion is so nice, her snake complexion. The snakes really add to the moment, without taking away. The blood oozing out of her neck also draws the eye. It's a nice accent. This painting was meant to be a depiction of the defeat of Medusa, obviously. The legend goes that Perseus, who is the son of Zeus and Danae, was given a shield by Athena. He took said shield to battle Medusa, and he managed to outsmart her by letting her catch a glimpse of her own reflection in that shield. Bam! You played yourself. Yeah, she turned herself into stone, and then this is when he took his sword out and, you can probably fill the rest in. You've seen Game of Thrones. A happy moment, perhaps? I don't know. Imagine having this in your home. I wouldn't sleep. That's terrifying to look at. Number 5, the Mona Lisa. No way she's on this list. What is she up to? How can the Mona Lisa possibly be on this dark messages list? She's literally just... She's chilling out, she's so calm. Another masterpiece from Da Vinci, coming from the 15th century. There's already been, of course, hundreds of theories surrounding this painting. Like perhaps she could have been pregnant, given her stance with the, the hands doing the thing. And the veil over her shoulders, those were worn often by pregnant women during the Italian Renaissance. But back in 2011, a clue was found in the painting. Yeah, a clue, like we're national treasure all of a sudden. Silvano Vincetti supposedly found letters and numbers painted into her eyes. Teeny tiny microscopic numbers and letters. How fun is that? Yeah, I was at my desk earlier and my forehead was like touching my computer screen. I was like, really? Are you sure? I was looking, couldn't find anything. My eyes aren't that great. The L over her right eye stands for Leonardo, and in the other eye, there's a 72, the numbers 7 and 2. We believe so far this relates to Christianity and Judaism. 7, the creation of the world, and 2, the duality of men and women. Meanwhile, I'm over here drawing that really cool S. I think I nailed that, I'm not gonna lie. Number 4, The Ambassadors. This one got me, I'm not gonna lie, I got the creeps after this. The Ambassadors is a painting from 1533. I've seen this one before, as I'm sure you have at one point or another. Hans Holbein Youngers painted this lovely room with, scholars. There's a globe, a mandolin, to pass the time, help inspiration, that's why we get mandolins. We have one in the corner here at the studio. Chris whips it, often. But at the bottom, we see an anamorphic skull. It makes you want to cock your head around almost. It doesn't seem to fit in properly. Like the angle of the skull is wrong. It looks like whenever I try and use Photoshop, it's just something's off. Experts believe this was done intentionally to remind us that death is around the corner. So when I was looking at this, I was like, why is that doing that? And I'm like, oh, death is around the haunting. Next, number 3, The Old Guitarist. Any fans of Game of Thrones on here? Well, this next one gives off major White Walker vibes. The Old Guitarist is, well, exactly what you think. It's an old man, hunched over, white hair, playing a guitar. This would be creepy regardless, just on its own. But when Pablo Picasso was putting together this masterpiece back in the early 1900s, he had some tricks up his sleeve. At the end of the 1900s, in 1998, researchers used infrared on the painting. Again, National Treasure style for some reason. And this time, it wasn't a hidden message, it was a hidden woman. Yeah, another woman was painted underneath the elderly man. So because this paint is naturally fading now, she's becoming more and more clear to see. That is so deep. That's the most deep thing. Am I into art? Am I enjoying art? Am I researching? This is fun. I like this. Number 2, Netherlandish Proverbs. Back in 1559, Peter Bruegel the Elder, great name, created this oil painting, and we're still trying to unravel everything in here. And this painting, I mean, for one, it's massive. There's a lot going on. It's on display currently in the Gemälde Gallery in Berlin. It's got a lot going on, and when you really start to focus, you can see some weird going on in this painting. What is that guy doing? That guy's banging his head off the wall. Walter White's been throwing pizzas on the roof for some reason. That fish ate a bigger fish. This dude fell off an ox onto a donkey. What kind of heist was going on in this town? What is happening? Ah, I see. It's supposed to be horrible. Lovely. Proverbs were a hot topic back in the 1500s. Apparently, over 100 Dutch proverbs and idioms are seen in this painting. He also aimed to illustrate the stupidity of man, and given how much of a show this town looks like, I'd say Peter nailed it. And finally, number 1, the Arnolfini portrait. This one is the most impressive paintings on our list. I am a sucker for reflections. And for this one, we'll be looking at Jan van Eyck's painting from 1434. It's quite old, the oldest on our list. This is an oil painting titled the Arnolfini Portrait. It shows Giovanni da Niccolao Arnolfini, his wife, and a little doggo. In the background, that's where things get mysterious. There's a mirror, a painted mirror. It's been widely believed that Jan is in the painting themselves. We love an artist cameo, nice. I'm actually in that wall too. Believe it or not, you just can't see me yet. It hasn't been long enough. Also, written in Latin above the mirror, there's a message. A Latin message. Let's do it. The message reads, Jan van Eyck was here. 1434. That's got to be the oldest blank was here of all time. Even older than Brooks was here from Shawshank Redemption. That was pretty old. A message like that with the artist hidden in the painting, that gives me goosebumps all around, and I'm not really entirely sure why.
Starting off at number 10 now, I'm sure many of you guys have heard of Slender Man. He's pretty legendary among the whole scary story community. Well, check this picture out. A guy took this of his girlfriend, just chilling out in the park, but take a look over there, next to that tree. That doesn't look like any old person, it looks like a very specific person, Slender Man. I think what's extra creepy about this one is how whatever that is clearly doesn't care about being seen.
In our number 9 spot today we have the ambassadors. Before I dive into this one, guys, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you're enjoying the video so far, because it really helps us out. Okay, this one might not exactly be old enough to be considered ancient, but this is my list and I definitely believe this one still belongs. The Ambassadors by Hans Holbein the Younger was created in 1533, and at first glance at it, it just seems like a nice painting of two men, two ambassadors, but that is not the case. This painting is full of imagery that has had professionals debating for years what it really is all about. The debated figures include the two globes, one being terrestrial and one being celestial. There's a bunch of different measuring devices, two of which are sundials, the variation of textiles, the open religious text, or the difference in clothing between the two ambassadors. This all might seem arbitrary, but the details, of course, must have been intentional. But what does it all mean? It is believed that this painting may be trying to convey religious strife or the interruption of religious harmony, but we truly aren't sure. The most notable feature of this painting, however, is the distorted skull that is featured at the bottom middle of the painting. The anamorphic skull is meant to be a visual puzzle as it requires a different perspective to clearly see, and no one is really sure why Hans gave this skull such a prominent place in the painting. One theory, however, is that this painting may be intended to show three levels. The heavens, which is shown by the astrolabe, then the earthly world, which is represented by the text and the instruments, and then the final being the underworld represented by the skull. It is possible that Hans may have just wanted to remind us all of our mortality. In our number 8 spot today, we have the giants in Egyptian paintings. This one is less of a specific painting and more so just a feature that is seen in a lot of ancient Egyptian paintings. There's a common theme of giants in these. This may have been a representation of people being of a higher status or being the more important figure in the painting, but many believe that this may be a sign that there were really giants in ancient Egypt. Considering how strange the pyramids are to us and how little we really know about their construction, how can we say for sure that there weren't giants? If there were, what happened to them? This is one that really has me stumped. What do you guys think? Let me know below in the comments if you think this is a case of the person being depicted as a giant because of their social status, or do you think it's possible that giants really did exist at one point? In our number 7 spot today, we have Medusa. Another one of the more recent paintings on today's list is Medusa by Caravaggio. We all know the story of Medusa, the woman with snakes for hair that when you look at you turn to stone, and this is a painting that really captures her essence perfectly, as well as capturing a horrific moment. This painting was meant to be a depiction of the defeat of Medusa. The legend goes that Perseus, who is the son of Zeus and Danae, was given a shield by Athena. He took this shield to battle Medusa and managed to outsmart her by letting her catch a glimpse of her own reflection in the shield. She then turned herself to stone, and this is when he took his sword and beheaded her. That is the moment this painting is portraying, the moment that Medusa was beheaded. I'm not sure if it really gets more cursed than that. This painting was created by Caravaggio in 1597, and it was actually his second of the kind, which is honestly kind of creepy. In our number 6 spot today, we have Hell. I'm not necessarily sure if I have to explain this one because the name really does speak for itself. This painting by Hans Memling was created in 1485 and it truly is terrifying. This is one of 3 double-sided panels that were created and it features a banner that reads, "There is no redemption in hell." This painting features some sort of devil creature with fangs and bat-like wings and features, and it has another entire face on its belly. Its hands and feet are claw-like and it is depicted stepping or dancing on the backs of people who are in the mouth of some sort of a beast, of course engulfed in flames. This whole painting is absolutely terrifying, especially for those who believe in the existence of hell. It would be extremely interesting to know exactly where the inspirations for this piece came from, as it certainly is unlike anything I have ever seen before. In our number 5 spot today, we have the Supernatural Being. This painting was made by Katsushika Hakusai, and it belongs to the Japanese genre of art that is about supernatural beings which are painted on wood blocks. The painting depicts a skeletal man who truly is straight out of a nightmare. The story behind this one is that it apparently is about an actor who was killed. The legend states that he actually ended up coming back to life like a zombie, and that is what this painting is about. Well, I guess it's more like a zombie ghost thing, as he comes back to haunt his wife and the new man she has fallen in love with. This legend is already quite terrifying, and the artist found a way to really bring that horror to life. His depiction of the sunken eyes and the horrifying grin with the clear representation of the thin skin and those spindly little fingers really make this painting what it is, and that is a work of sheer terrifying art. In our number 4 spot today, we have the UFO. This painting comes from an unknown source from around 1350, and it is depicting the crucifixion of Jesus Christ surrounded by a crowd of people with some extra special visitors. These visitors seem to be of the extraterrestrial variety. On either side of Jesus in the painting, there appears to be some sort of UFO that contains strange-looking humans? It is very obvious that any sort of flying object during these times just did not exist, so the fact that it's one we as humans have never seen before is all the more interesting. Many people speculate that it is possible that these creatures may have been deities or perhaps angels, but there were no wings or halos or any other sign of angelic or divine features. It is possible that maybe humans have always been obsessed with the idea of alien life, and maybe the belief in UFO stems all the way back to them, but maybe this is a sign that aliens did visit Earth at some point long ago. Either way, it certainly is quite suspicious and a little bit creepy. In our number 3 spot today, we have the lizard hands. In 2002, in a cave discovered in the western deserts of Egypt, researchers found a ton of paintings on the walls, thought to be dated back at least 8,000 years, if not longer. The paintings featured animals, humans, and sometimes headless creatures, which led to the cave being nicknamed the Cave of the Beasts, but there are also hundreds of handprints outlined, which are both very cool and very eerie. The most unusual part of the handprints, however, are the 13 that are extremely tiny. This would be endearing and very cute, but what was once thought of as little tiny baby hands are actually not even human at all. An anthropologist realized this in 2006 when she saw that they were much too small and that the fingers were much too long. It is thought that these handprints may belong to lizards or perhaps baby crocodiles, but we still aren't really sure. It is definitely interesting and kind of fascinating to see all these handprints on the walls of the cave, but it definitely carries a mystery that we may never know the answers to. In our number 2 spot today, we have the Tomb of Roaring. In 2006, a grave robber who had been caught unveiled a secret in exchange for some leniency in his sentence. This secret is what unearthed this next cursed painting. He helped provide information that led to the unearthing of the Tomb of Roaring, which is one of the oldest tombs ever found in Europe. Inside the tomb were things like a sword, Greek vases, metal meat roasting spits, and a painting. This painting is one of the oldest in Europe, and it is believed to have belonged to a warrior prince. The painting features what was originally thought to be lions, but it is now believed that they are probably deer or horses. I'm not sure about you guys, but unearthing a secret tomb with information given to you by a grave robber seems like a perfect recipe for something cursed, and I'm not sure if we should have opened that thing. Who knows what it could have unleashed on the world. In our number 1 spot today, we have the Holy Ghost. The Holy Ghost is a painting that comes all the way from at least 7,000 years ago. This painting is the main part of a mural that is located in Utah's Horseshoe Canyon. The entire mural is huge as it is 300 feet long and features around 80 figures, and it was likely painted by ancient nomads. The technique used to create this image was by filling their mouths with red ochre-tinted paint and spraying it out onto the sandstone. The paint was a mix of their blood and clay that was binded together by urine. This is all super cool and kinda gross, but here's the creepy thing. No one knows why these paintings were created or what they represent. Maybe they just like to paint, but it is kind of crazy to think about what this figure could have meant to them. Was it part of a legend? Was it something they saw in real life? This is just one of those mysteries that unfortunately is buried with the people of the past, and we are just left to speculate exactly what this could be.
Coming in at number 10, we have a ghost in Cepheus. This looks like a ghost in the ether for sure. It's actually a rather mysterious dusty curtain featuring a very faint reflection of nebula VDB152. The reddish tinge you see is ultraviolet light from a star causing a rusty looking luminescence in the nebula dust. Described as a cosmic phantom, this picture was released by NASA on Halloween in 2012 and titled A Ghost in Cepheus. This intergalactic ghost is 1,400 light years away, so arguably a safe enough distance for us to deal with. Who knows how fast this ethereal dust can travel though? Also, who knows what this dust is like up close? I don't trust it. Dust it.
In our number 9 spot today, we have the cave painting. This painting is the oldest known painting in India, and it was found on the walls and ceiling of a cave. It was originally believed that this painting was first created in the 1st century BCE, and while there isn't any religious iconography in the paintings, there are human figures, fish, elephants, birds, and different floral patterns. It is said that another artist ended up drawing over the original, which is an incredible shame and could have released some very angry, vengeful energy on the world if the original artist is still somewhere out there watching. To make matters even worse, these paintings have been severely vandalized and a lot of the areas are in quite bad shape. There's something about things that are this old that makes me feel like they should just not be messed with at all. Not only because it's rude, but also because you never know who's watching. In our number 8 spot today we have Dante and Virgil in Hell. This terrifying work of art was created in 1850 and is currently on display in Paris. This painting is depicting a scene from Dante's Divine Comedy, which is basically about Dante being taken on a journey through hell, with Virgil showing him the way. The painting is depicting a certain scene where Dante and Virgil are witnessing two damned souls intertwined in eternal combat. One of the souls was believed to be a heretic, which is how he landed in the underworld, and the other soul, who's biting his neck, was thought to be a man who falsely claimed another man's inheritance, which certainly is not a good thing to do. The painting also features some sort of terrifying creature flying in the background, as well as a lot more damned souls fighting in the fiery pits. This whole painting truly is both a stunning piece of art as well as an absolute nightmare. In our number 7 spot today we have The Death of Marat. The Death of Marat is a painting from 1793 by Jacques-Louis David, and it depicts the demise of French revolutionary leader Jean-Paul Marat. The painting shows Jean-Paul lying dead in his bathtub on July 13th, 1793, after Charlotte Corday took his life. The painting is regarded as one of the most important and famous images of the French Revolution. Charlotte snuck in to see Jean-Paul by using a note which promised to share details of a counter-revolutionary ring. Jean-Paul suffered from a skin condition which left him in the bathtub often, and it became a place where he usually worked. Charlotte stabbed Jean-Paul in the bathtub, but she did not attempt to run away and was later tried and executed for her actions. The painting shows Jean-Paul holding a note, which is of course written in French, but translates to, "Given that I am unhappy, I have a right to ask for your help," which is an incredibly eerie message. In our number 1 spot today we have The Anguished Man. This is a painting that holds many secrets, the first two being when and who created it. This painting comes from an unknown source and is absolutely eerie. It depicts exactly what the name would suggest, a man looking like he is in great pain and suffering. The painting is apparently made of a mix of paint and blood, and it is said that the creator ended up taking his own life after making it. Because of the unknown origins and this little tale that goes along with it, the painting already gives off some extremely eerie energy, but if that wasn't enough, the man who currently owns the painting claims that it is haunted. He even uploads YouTube videos of the strange happenings around the painting, and it is said that sometimes whispers can be heard coming from it. Whatever is going on with that painting, it sure can't be good.
Number 10, Madam X. We'll kick off this part 2 with a scandalous painting. Oh my, yes, shield your eyes, young ones. We got spaghetti straps coming in hot. This painting was deemed too scandalous back in the day. Madam X, the portrait of Virginie Amélie Avignon-Gautreau, originally painted back in 1884 by John Singer Sargent. Now at first, John made the woman's straps sliding off her shoulder. A little, ooh, my lovely jewel strap is, ooh, slipped off, ooh. Apparently that was too scandalous for the upper class society around him back then, so John had to repaint the straps back on. Yeah, backlash was still so strong after John had sold the painting that he moved. The guy left Paris because of spaghetti straps. Are you kidding? What have we done? Art, he's so good, and we pushed him away. Come paint me like one of your fine French gals. Paint all the straps on me, I don't care. On or off, what's up, let's party. Number 9, Hidden Beached Whale. Look closely at this 1641 landscape from Henrik van Inthonissen. This masterpiece here is titled View of Scheveningen Sands. Yeah, it's a nice one. It's pretty cold of a day. I wouldn't go to the beach personally. Do you notice anything out of the ordinary in this painting? Anything at all catching your eye? What's everyone looking at here, you know? Art is so mysterious. So many questions in this one painting. I feel like we're missing something here, you know? Like just something in this painting. What about now? Yeah, there was a beached whale in that painting the entire time, and we didn't know until 2014. How amazing is that? At some point after it had been completed, the work of art was painted over. So for hundreds of years, somebody was looking at this wondering what the meaning was. He's like, why are they all on the beach? What are they looking at? It was a beached whale this whole time. It was haunting the entire time to look at. Someone didn't like that. You know what? Rightfully so. I would have painted over that whale too. No, I wouldn't have. That's a fabulous painting. I would have never touched that. Number 8, David and Goliath. We of course have to look at some of the artwork of the Sistine Chapel that's loaded with history. Fun history, some would say. A panel that shows David and Goliath specifically, or rather it shows David about to defeat the Goliath. Michelangelo added a hidden message in this one painting. The stance that David is making looks heroic. He's got, athletic stance for sure to, do some bad stuff right away. But his stance is in the shape of a Hebrew letter, the letter Gimel, which refers to reward and punishment. Good thing it wasn't Resh, or else he wouldn't have won the battle. His arm would be all the way over here. He'd be like that. Wouldn't have won at all. These are like Easter eggs in famous paintings. So far, I'm loving this. And if you're enjoying the content as well, hit that thumbs up. Let us know, then we can do more art for you. Let's move on. Number 7, hidden self-portrait. In George Seurat's painting of a woman powdering herself, there's a window in the top left corner. And me, personally, I would have gone with, the sun, but George here, at first, he went with a self-portrait. A little selfie. This was odd behavior though, historically, for this artist, because he wasn't known for painting self-portraits, ever. This was the only time it happened. Thanks to the Courtauld Gallery in London and a few x-rays, now we can make out the first draft of this 19th century painting. The portrait does resemble a photo of George as well. We compared them both, so we're definitely able to confirm that's him. He did at least one self-portrait. That's pretty historical. I'm glad we found it. X-rays were actually done back in 1958 and 1987, but the machine could only detect a layer of paint, not the actual image, if there was one. Pointillism is so impressive. I tried it one summer and was absolute garbage. Number 6, Garden of Earthly Delights. This piece was done back in the late 15th century. Painter Hieronymus Bosch had a lot going on in this one, that's for sure. There's a group of naked people eating a big strawberry. There's a mermaid riding a fish. This one's got a lot of wacky stuff on it. We love it. In 2014, a hidden message was found on somebody's butt. Yeah, I'm not joking. There's actual music notes drawn across somebody's bottom. So a college student translated it, and now you can listen to it. You can listen to that guy's butt. That little melody Bosch was humming to himself while he was painting sounded like this. Yeah, well, it's not going to be stuck in our heads anytime soon, but it's still fun to hear art come to life, Number 5, A Starry Night. We had Van Gogh in part 1, Cafe Terrace at Night, so naturally, we have to throw him in part 2 as well. The only time we've seen Vincent van Gogh as a time traveler was in Doctor Who, but how did Vincent van Gogh know about turbulent flow decades before scientists even knew about it? Yeah, that's the question we're trying to answer here on MA10. The Starry Night was painted back in 1889, but in 2004, NASA observed a distant star where dust and gas were swirling around the cosmos. It reminded NASA of Van Gogh's work, so they looked into his art a bit more, and mathematically, his artwork mirrors natural turbulence. This was also at a time where Van Gogh's mental health was not a-okay, so how he was able to get the math as accurate that long ago, and also via art, is mind-blowing. Number 4, Bacchus. Michelangelo Caravaggio, okay. His 1595 painting, Bacchus, looks pretty calm at first. The god of wine and being tipsy, a personal favorite god of mine, if I may. It's currently in the Uffizi Gallery in Florence, and it wasn't until 2009 where, you guessed it, they found a hidden image. In the carafe of wine on the bottom left of the painting, there is a self-portrait of Caravaggio. We can't see it with our eyes, but technology, once again, has our back here. There's a tiny little head reflected on the wine jug. Maybe, it just looks like a smudge at first, but with the help of radiodiagnostic investigation, we can see the bigger/smaller picture. We can see a man with his arms stretched out, the world's smallest selfie for the win. Number 3, The Last Supper. We've all seen this one at some point, I'm confident. If you haven't, look at this, isn't that amazing? I'm glad I was able to show you this. The Last Supper, painted by Leonardo da Vinci in the late 15th century, has been the talk of many towns. In this painting, we see John the Apostle, and it's been debated that it's actually Mary in disguise. I know, don't tell anyone. And that V shape in between Jesus and John represents the female womb. That was in Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code. I didn't make that up. If I made that up, I wouldn't be here. That's crazy. But another secret could be lying in plain view this whole time. Right on the table. In 2007, an Italian musician found hidden musical notes in this painting. Musical notes hiding in bread rolls and in the hand of the apostles. We have 2 musical messages in this video. That's crazy. This makes me want to look for more clues in paintings. Let me just go look at some butts on art for a bit. Any notes on butts? What does that one say? It's an E minor? No. I'm gonna start looking at more musical notes on butts of all the paintings. I'm gonna try and find one. That one's kind of an E flat, E flat. That's how we do it. Number 2, the separation of light from darkness. This one's another anatomical one. Makes me feel weird. Once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. I'm not gonna lie to you. The separation of light from darkness, Michelangelo again. Michelangelo was featured on part 1, the creation of Adam. It's definitely an iconic piece. But once you see the hidden organs in that painting, it changes you for a bit, This one as well, another iconic piece from Michelangelo, seen in the Sistine Chapel. We have the central figure God surrounded by 4 others. What we often miss though is the spinal cord that runs up God's chest. It's like one of those hidden object books, only the art is beautiful and the objects are gross. I'm like, oh, it's a spinal cord. Found it. And finally, number 1, The Lady in the Grass. We'll end this part 2 on another piece by Van Gogh. Patch of Grass was a Van Gogh classic done in 1887, and upon first glance, the painting appears to be, well, nothing more than just that, a patch of grass. But it's beautiful, and it's art, so naturally we'll look at it for too long. Oh, it's just a wall? That's not art. I thought it was the grass. That's just the wall. This one doesn't contain any deep space mathematics by any means, but in 2008, Dutch researchers used an X-ray, took a deeper look into the grass, and found the portrait of a woman. How haunting is that of a discovery? Imagine being the first person to find that. That's really scary. That's a horror movie. Around 1/3 of Van Gogh's artwork has old paintings underneath it. He would often paint over his stuff. We're only recently finding them, which is exciting. Scientist Joris Dieck of the Delft University of Technology, he's literally peeling back layers of paint history digitally. The painting right now hangs in the Dutch eastern city, Otterlo, in the Kroller-Müller Museum. So next time you take a look at this masterpiece, just know that there's a woman's face looking back at you. And while you're watching this video, just know I'm actually looking back at you right now too. Isn't that creepy? Art, digital art, still art. Guys, that's all the time we have today. I've been your host, Taylor McWaters, and we'll see you next time on Most Amazing Top 10, hopefully for some more haunted art. See ya. Kicking off the list at number 10, The Creation of Adam. We'll start this list off with one of the most famous paintings of sculptor and artist Michelangelo. The Creation of Adam. You've seen it at one point or another, or you've seen it referenced at one point or another. It was painted back in 1508. The poster of E.T. was inspired by this painting. With little hands, little phone home. Memes have been on a whole new level thanks to Michelangelo in this piece. But what's the dark background here exactly? Perhaps the plethora of naked folks in the sky, all bunched up together? Not exactly. It was known that back in the 1500s, Michelangelo used to dissect bodies, all in the name of art. Of course, why not? He would create anatomic artwork, that's why his Creation of Adam kind of looks like he's crawling out of an organ. To be honest, I never noticed it at first. Now, I can't unsee it. That's definitely the inside of a body. The Sistine Chapel has many dark pieces of art. I may or may not mention another.
More penises at number 9, this time edible ones. I mean, Hannah Montana. What are you flogging there? Disney's Hannah Montana had a load of marketing material to promote alongside one of the movies. This also included what they called concert candy. Alongside an image of Miley holding a microphone to her mouth were some really light skin colored gummies in dubious shapes. Pretty phallic, really. She's like this, and then there's a packet of cocks. Literally, a bag of dicks. I think that these would be best served at a bachelorette rather than a kids sing-star party, but that's just me. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but check out these butt beads in Cinderella at number 8. What are these cheeky mice up to? Whatever it is, I'm not sure that it belongs in a Disney movie. What was an innocent scene with Cinderella's rodent friends Gus and Jack looks pretty dodgy when you pause it. A bead necklace is broken, and Jack is trying to collect some of the beads on Gus's tail. However, without context, this still image looks like Jack is ramming some beads up Gus's bottom. Peter Pan's schlong is coming in at number 7. In one scene, Peter Pan is dancing around with his irksome shadow, and I mean, I don't know how to say this, but Peter's, yeah, he's showing some signs of not being a child anymore, right there. Wow. Here's a still image, and here's a gif of the moment. It's like, surprise, here's my penis, which is really, really inappropriate because he's supposed to be a very young teenager. Just like, put it away, Pan. Coming into number 6, we have the much debated Sex in the Sky in Lion King. At one moment in Disney's The Lion King, Simba flops down on Pride Rock, and it looks like the stars spell out sex. The official line is that yes, the stars do spell something, but it is supposed to say SFX amongst the production team. However, many people are convinced that it says sex, and when you see it, it's really hard to unsee. Another Lion King offering at number 5, we have these boobalicious sand dunes. In one scene, Zazu is taking Nala and Simba to a watering hole, but in the background, there's a palm tree and some sand dunes, except those sand dunes without a shadow of a doubt look like they've been drawn to look like boobs. I mean, there they are, the lovely lady humps. Look for yourself. I think that you can achieve sand dunes without adding dark spots in the middle. That is a nip if ever I saw one. Disney isn't even trying to make these boobs subliminal. Get a load of this harpy from Fantasia. She's nude, she's angry, she has pert breasts. I never noticed this woman as a child, but as an adult, I mean, I'm all for freeing the nip, but whoa, they're Disney. More naked ladies at number 3, we have Esmeralda dancing naked in flames in The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Sexually repressed Frollo imagines a naked Esmeralda as he sings about hellfire. He clearly wants her, but she is not up for it at all, so he gets pretty angry and pretty vengeful. He imagines her dancing in flames, but at one point she's clothed, then at another, she definitely isn't. Hello there, nude Disney character. This is more than a little disturbing. We have the minister's erection in Ariel the Little Mermaid coming in at number 2. As Eric is under Ursula's spell and they're about to get married, the minister gets a little overexcited. Why? Why did they draw that bump? I don't know what we're supposed to think. Some people say it's a knee, but I'm like, maybe from his third leg. Woo-hoo-hoo! Finally, at number 1, I just can't see this. Absolute bum alert. Bum. We have this cheeky bum in the Lion King poster. Here is the Lion King poster. Totally fine. But wait. When you look a bit closer, it really does look like a sexy lady's backside. And she's there, ready, with a pert butt. See? Yeah, you won't be able to unsee that.
Starting off at our number 10 spot, we have this tomb painting. This painting is one of the oldest known Japanese paintings, and it comes to us from a tomb which is both incredibly cool and terrifying. This tomb is called the Takamatsuzuka tomb, which translates to something along the lines of the tall pine tree ancient burial mound. This tomb was thought to have been built sometime between the end of the 7th century and the beginning of the 8th century, but it wasn't discovered until the 1960s when a local farmer accidentally stumbled upon it. You might be wondering why I'm talking so much about this tomb when you came here for paintings, but it's because without the tomb there are no paintings. This painting is referred to as the Beautiful Women and is actually painted on the inside of the tomb walls. I'm not gonna lie, while it would be incredibly hard not to open a newfound mysterious tomb, it's just a risk I wouldn't personally take. Who knows what you'd be releasing into the world? This tomb is facing quick deterioration, and the Cultural Affairs Agency of Japan is looking into breaking down the walls of the tomb to reconstruct them again in a place where the walls can be free from further damage and mold. This is proving to be a more difficult task than expected though, and I can't help but feel like maybe this tomb doesn't want to be moved.
Coming in at number 9, we have telescope ghouls. Whoa, look up at the top of the James Webb Space Telescope. Do you see what I see? Are these the ghosts of dead astronauts or technicians? Or maybe they're alien apparitions? This photo by NASA's Chris Gunn is incredible, and he has aptly titled it Ghosts and Mirrors for obvious reasons. So it turns out that the picture taken in the Goddard Space Flight Center's Spacecraft System Development and Integration Facility clean room is taken with a super long exposure. All the while, ultraviolet lights were being shone over the telescope to look for contamination. Now the result is this spooky picture. Sounds like a reasonable explanation, right? Some may say too reasonable. Joking, but this telescope may well capture some spooky images of its very own in the future. It's the successor to Hubble, and it's off to explore the universe in March 2021. Any Lord of the Rings fans out there, stand up. How much does this exosolar planet look like the Eye of Sauron at number 8? Like, creepily so. Did J.R.R. Tolkien know about the formal hut when he wrote The Lord of the Rings in 1937? If he didn't, perhaps he foreshadowed it. Get a load of this picture. This is Fomalhaut b in orbit around Fomalhaut. The exoplanet is also known as Dagon. It's an extrasolar object and it orbits a star that gives it its name. How far away is this terrifying eye formation? Only 25 light years. The 2012 images from the Hubble Space Telescope are terrifying. The name Dagon in mythology is a Jewish deity that represents a half man, half fish. Just a side note there for you. Coming in at number 7, did NASA capture an alien moon base? And also, did they accidentally release pictures of it? According to some conspiracists, then yeah, they did. Have a look at these and tell me what you think. Is this alien evidence? Conspiracist YouTube channel Secure Team 10 claimed that these images were proof of an alien base on the moon. The YouTube channel has 1.7 million subscribers, so a lot of people are watching their content. Their channel is filled with moon conspiracies, and they think that these images are a smoking gun for NASA. UFologist and hoaxbuster Scott Brando said that the images used by Secure Team 10 were low quality and low resolution. He seemed to think that the images are just an optical illusion. Who knows though? Another classic from the Daily Express, we have alien astronauts caught on camera at number 6. Some think that Mars rover Curiosity captured aliens, others think that it's a widespread conspiracy that humans are already on Mars. The first manned Mars mission is set to begin within the next 10 years, but some are saying that the photos taken by Curiosity and published by NASA already show that there are humans on the red planet. Some people think that these shadow images show astronauts working on the rover to repair it. Others say that the droids show humanoid-looking aliens. Now the conspiracists say that NASA didn't realize how much they were showing when the images were released into the public domain. So, is it aliens or are humans already up on Mars? If so, why would that be hidden from us? Or do these pictures have a more logical explanation? UFO conspiracist good old Scott C. Waring said that this just goes to show the public that the rover is being maintained by humans on Mars and that there are other spacecraft kept secret from the public that can carry peers to Mars in just a few minutes. You know what, Scott? I don't know about that one. Okay, these Death Eaters living out there in space terrify me at number 5. The Harry Potter fans in this video will probably be just as freaked out by this as I am. I don't like them. Get a load of what is lurking in the mist of the Carina Nebula. To me, these are straight up Death Eaters waiting to suck out my soul, but actually, they're supposed to be knots of dark molecular gas. Knots of dark molecular gas waiting to suck out my soul, right? These clouds of gas surround the Great Nebula in Carina, which used to be one of the brightest stars in the sky in the 1800s, but now it's significantly faded. This maybe lends credence to my whole sucking theory, right? Okay, fine, they probably aren't Death Eaters, but still, they're spooky. This picture freaks me out. Coming into number 4, we have the Hand of God. NASA released this X-ray image of light detected by NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory in 2014. Can you see why they called it the Hand of God? It kind of looks like, you know. So this is actually a pulsar wind nebula, a stellar corpse that spins rapidly, firing a particle wind. NASA themselves are mystified by the shape. Alongside the image on their website, they wrote, "One of the big mysteries of this object is whether the pulsar particles are interacting with the material in a specific way to make it look like a hand, or if the material is in fact shaped like a hand." Now a lot of people do genuinely believe that this is God's mark in the universe, like the eye that cropped up earlier. Now I'm not too convinced, but I'd love to know what you think. We have a famous Mars picture that caused a stir at number 3. We have Bigfoot on Mars. Mars's now defunct robot rover Spirit captured this image in late 2007. Who this? A Rudy Nudie alien lady or Bigfoot? Either way, aliens, right? This image boosted the life on Mars discussion, with many conspiracists saying that this image was proof. NASA explained the image is simply the pareidolia phenomena. This is where humans see faces when they aren't there. Analyzing Spirit's image, if this was an alien, it'd be pretty small, according to Phil Platt of Bad Astronomy website. Anyway, NASA says it's nothing more than a Martian rock, although NASA would say that, wouldn't they? Probably because it is just a rock, right? Coming into number 2, we have this screaming skull. It's pretty terrifying. This screaming skull was another of NASA's Halloween releases, this time from the year 2000. The haunting image was taken from the orbiting Chandra Observatory and is one of a cluster of galaxies known as Perseus. You can see Perseus right here in X-ray vision. The Perseus cluster contains thousands upon thousands of galaxies, so we can't really truly comprehend this picture. It's just much more than a spooky picture than what looks like a skull. It's a lot going on there. While the image is already pretty spooky, it gets scarier when when you realize that the bright spot in the X-ray is a black hole. Not to worry though, this scary skull cluster is 320 million light years away. Finally, at number 1, we have a truly iconic and somewhat infamous picture, the Viking 1 faces on Mars. This is one of the most famous NASA images out there and has been used as absolute fuel to conspiracy theorists' fire over the past 40 years. That was since the picture was taken in July 1976. The snap was taken by NASA's Viking 1 spacecraft and seemed to show the shadowy likeness of a human face, only this face is 2 miles long. Taken in the Cydonia region of Mars, the image was sent back to mission controllers at the Jet Propulsion Lab. At the time, theorists went wild, saying that it was evidence of an ancient civilization on Mars. Now, the image did quite look like an Egyptian pharaoh after all. NASA explained that the image was just a Martian messer with the sunlight playing tricks. NASA later went back with the Mars orbiter camera, but people simply explained the lack of face that time by saying that it was a cloudy day and the alien detail couldn't be seen. I don't know, I'm thinking it probably was just a trick of the light.
Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have this hunting cave painting. This painting comes to us from an astonishing 44,000 years ago and was found on the wall of a cave on an Indonesian island. Researchers were able to date this painting that far back due to the fact that the cave it was found in is still living, which means that rock formations have been growing over the painting, and by being able to date those, they know that it is at least 43,900 years old, but it could potentially be even older. The painting features what looks like a hunting scene with 4 wild pigs, some small buffalo, and a group of really small hunters with spears. The strange thing about these hunters, other than their size, is the fact that they're all human and animal hybrids. They all have elongated faces like an animal snout, and a lot of them have tails. There's even one tiny human thing that has a beak. We don't really know why they depicted the hunters this way or why the animals are so much larger than them. There also were no other usual signs of human life found in the cave, such as bones or hunting tools. This cave may have acted as some sort of special or sacred spot for them, but I can't imagine a sacred spot that only holds a strange hunting painting. It definitely sounds a little creepy to me.
Next up at number 9 now, we have this picture. Now this was reportedly taken by a woman who just wanted a picture of her son and their house cat. However, upon closer inspection, she noticed what looks like a face poking out from under the table in the corner, its mouth hanging open. According to her, she believes the ghostly looking head may be of her husband's mother or the ghost of someone who died in the house. No thank you. Next up at number 8 now, we have this picture that went viral at the end of 2016. It looks like a fun kind of picture of some friends sharing a bath. Do they have a visitor at the window there? Some of you may first notice what looks like a hand, others may first notice what appears to be a ghostly face next to it. Either way, it looks eerily like a person and caused a lot of people to freak out online over it. Next up at number 7 now, we have this famous picture showing what looks like a group of friends. Everyone seems happy except this little girl. Why is she crying? Well, many people feel it has something to do with what's going on in between these two women. Many people say this is a ghostly apparition of a long dead child. It could just be a trick of the light, but even skeptics say it does kind of look like a face. Coming at number 6 now, we have this picture of a rescue attempt somewhere in China. The authorities are in the river trying to figure out how to move that vehicle. There's a crowd of people watching nearby, but there also appears to be another spectator that nobody has noticed. If we take a zoom in through the plants, there's the unmistakable image of something humanoid. It doesn't look like an actual human, which perhaps makes it even scarier. Whatever it is, it knows it's been seen, and its face isn't too happy about it. Next up at number 5 now, we have a picture of a girl sitting on her bed. She's smiling, but perhaps she wouldn't be if she could see what others see in this picture. If we look at the corner of the bed there, just behind the mattress, that kinda looks like an eye. And not just any eye, an eye that's staring directly at the camera. Kinda looks angry. Like, if you tell them I'm under their bed, I'll kill you too. Alright, that got quite dark. Let's move on to our number 4 now, guys, and we have these teenagers hanging out in some foggy woods. Nice day for a walk, you might say. Well, it seems that someone else back there had the same idea. Usually with pictures like this, taken in the woods, some people argue that could easily be a tree. But look at all the other trees there. They're all way bigger than the height of a person. Or maybe that's not even a person. Next up at number 3 now, check out this picture that a night cam took. Now they're usually motion sensitive, these things, and capture images of animals roaming around at night. But what triggered the motion sensor? The deer or this? It looks humanoid in nature, but is it actually human? Some people speculate that this may be a supernatural or even alien being. Whatever it is, what's it doing creeping up on that deer? Who knows what or even who it will creep up on next. Moving on to number 2 now, we have this picture a man took of his 4-year-old daughter during their trip to Japan. He took a few of them in the same spot, but on one particular picture there appears to be a pair of boots behind the girl. The man's friend posted these pictures to Reddit and everyone freaked out trying to solve the mystery of where these boots came from. One theory says it's a samurai ghost because that beach is where samurai used to be buried. Others say it's just a trick of the light. What do you guys think? And finally at number 1 now, we have this picture of some England fans hanging out on the grass during a World Cup party. After taking these pictures on their camera, they took a little look and saw this strange figure standing in the window of the building behind them, still under construction. After seeing this, some of them decided to climb the scaffolding and see for themselves what was up there, but they couldn't find anything. Some people who saw this think it could just be one of the construction workers, while others say it looks like a woman holding up a baby. What do you guys see?